In today's society, crime is rising at an incredible rate. It's happening right under our noses, and as the days goes on, they get more intense and more in number. Today, the highest form of by law punishment is the death penalty. I believe that because of financial and time reasons, that this max punishment should go down to only life sentence. One reason that I believe this is the process that it takes for a death penalty to be debated and in court and executed takes a lot of money away from what would be going towards law enforcement. The same tax dollars that taxpayers pay is drawn from for these cases and the serum that goes in for death penalty that law enforcement gets their funding. I believe that because of this, if we were to go down from the death penalty to only life sentence, that much money would be caused to go back to law enforcement so that these cases wouldn't have to happen. The current law system in California uses cost $137 million per year. That same system would only cost $11.5 million per year without the death penalty. So basically, if California were to abolish the death penalty, their max punishment would be life sentence, and that would take down $100 million for that could go towards law enforcement so that these cases wouldn't have to happen. Now, some people would say, if there was no death penalty, who's to say that criminals aren't just going to go crazy and not worry about getting punished? My rebuttal for that is that if there was no death penalty, more money could be spent on law enforcement so that these cases didn't have to happen. Another reason I believe this should happen is the process leading up to executing a death penalty is far more time-consuming than that of a non-death penalty case. More jury is needed, more time is needed for prosecutors to present their case, more time is needed for defenders to defend their clients, and it takes so much more time. The jury has to be pounded and pounded with questions about whether they are for or against the death penalty, and there has to be no bias. People are going to say any amount of time is worth getting these kinds of people that would do these kinds of crimes dead and off the streets. My counter for this is you don't have to die to be off the streets. They can be put into prison for life, and we wouldn't have a problem. They wouldn't be on the streets. They wouldn't be committing these crimes. We wouldn't have a problem. Another reason that I believe this should happen is the process leading up to executing a death penalty case is far more fun-consuming, like I said before. In most cases, a trial in which the prosecutors are seeking the death penalty costs 48 to 70% more than that of a non-death penalty case. Think about all the money that would be saved that, like I said, would go to law enforcement, would go to education, that would go to therapy, all that kinds of stuff, that would keep these kinds of people off the street and keep them from doing these kinds of things. People are going to say any amount of money is worth getting these people off the streets. And once again, my counter is death is not the only solution for these problems. We could put these people in prison for life, and they would be off the streets. We wouldn't cause us any problems. We would be safe. Criminal activity increases every day right under our noses. Because of the increase in number and magnitude of crimes committed, many people are being charged for and sentenced to death. Although it is a sure way to get these criminals off the street, it is costing state governments and national governments a great amount of money for a completely pointless punishment. All we have to do is put them in prison for life. There's no reason to kill them off. If the death penalty was to be abolished in the nation and in all states, I believe that we could go to a max sentence of life imprisonment, like I said, and all that money and time would be saved, and the same amount of justice would be served. I hope you've learned something from my speech, and I hope that you can side with me and want to abolish the death penalty. Thank you.